A very good evening from the KTN News Center on this 18th day of August 2014. The beginning of what is said to be a crucial week for the counties as the Council of Governors steps up lobbying in its push for a constitutional referendum. Here in the KTN News Center tonight, we have Kwale Governor Salim Mvurya, who will be expounding on the governor's 10-point agenda and the progress so far. I'm Ben Kitili, and this is KTN Prime.
Indeed, Ben, we have a comprehensive bulletin for you tonight, including an interview on a report that was released today by the Human Rights Watch on Anti-Terrorism Police unit. That's coming your way in just a few minutes. Many thanks for joining us. I'm Linda Ogutu. Our sign language interpreter is William Silla. But first, let's take a look at the top stories tonight.
It is about Kenya. It is about all of us.
The quest for a referendum. The governors unveiled their 10-point agenda.
Normal operations in most hospitals as health workers ignore calls for a strike.
Those of you who traveled, please be sure that indeed everything which needs to be done has been done.
Also coming up, no cause for alarm. The government assures of an Ebola-free country.
And they lived to tell the tales. We talked to the survivors of the Ravine tanker tragedy.
Welcome to the program. We start from the county of Uasin Gishu in what has been bad happening for the counties in terms of health workers across the 47 counties following salary delays in some of them. Let's now take you to KTN's Mercy Kandie, coming to you live from Uasin Gishu County.
Indeed, Ben, it's true that the medical practitioners in Uasin Gishu County and also Mombasa County heeded to the call of their union leaders, the Kenya National Union of Nurses, who called on August 1st for the boycott of services for those medical practitioners who had not been paid their salaries. And we look at these two counties, Mombasa County and Uasin Gishu County. Take a look at this story. The Coast General Hospital bears the brunt of the recent industrial action taken by health workers. Key hospital departments like the pharmacy, dental unit and theatre were rendered non-functional. And as is the norm, those who feel the pinch of it most are the patients, including the 320 inpatients. One in particular, a 3-day-old baby in need of urgent multiple surgeries due to body complications. The county government of Mombasa says it is negotiating with intern doctors who form the larger percentage of doctors within the county and have not been paid by the national government.
So far, Mombasa County has not received any money from the national government, including the conditional grant which was supposed to come for the first few months. So no money at all has come from the national government to provide salaries for the people at Mombasa. What you should understand is that it's not only the people who work in the health sector who've not been paid. Nobody who works for Mombasa County has been paid, including the governor himself.
Okay, like the dental, because their doctors were not there. So if we get the interns, we can open up the dental department.
Those who were at the medical center were at a go-slow, as many others didn't report to work. 4 deaths were recorded so far, though the county says it can't be linked to the strike. Admissions were reduced to 1 per day. That number is usually at over 40.
The county is working very hard to ensure that the people of Mombasa are paid latest this Friday. That is the resolution that we came up with.
In Uasin Gishu counties, the same situation replicated at the district hospital. Medical practitioners under the economic stimulus programs down their tools in salary arrears amounting to what they said was 3 months.
Continued harassment of health workers. We have also issues pertaining to remittance of our statutory deductions.
That there is nothing that actually can stop this county from employing them, other than only playing political games or rather gimmicks.
The 63 health workers under the economic stimulus program serve in other health facilities outside the town. The strike notice was issued on Friday, August 1st. The last time the nurses went on strike was on April this year. They then signed a return to work formula with the government. And currently they want the national and county government to not only make promises, but act on what they say. The national government, however, through the Cabinet Secretary for Health, James Macharia, says the national government has dispatched money to the counties. Kenya Union of Nurses says it will on the 29th of this month meet KMPDU to issue a nationwide strike notice with regard to the health status in the country. Marcy Kandie, KTN, Eldoret, Uasin Gishu County. So that's the situation on the ground in Uasin Gishu County and Mombasa County, a sad state. And in the evening, we talked to the county executive in charge of health, Dr. Eunice Syria, here in Uasin Gishu County. And she requested the medical practitioners who had boycotted the services to come back to work, saying that by Wednesday, they'll all have their salaries in their accounts, saying that they also need to fill in the new evaluation forms which will be found within the county offices so that they can be evaluated and also be taken in on a permanent basis. But yes, that is the situation on the ground that needs to be, clearly looked into. I hand you now to Linda Ogutu in our Nairobi studios. Linda.
Mercy, thank you. That is an issue that we will be seeking to address with our guest in studio, our governor in studio, in just a few minutes. But before that, a crucial week lies ahead for the counties and the referendum push by governors. The Council of Governors today started lobbying at the county level. They have launched a 10-point agenda as the basis for their push for a referendum. The key point of their campaign is to increase the amount of funds allocated to the counties to 45% of the latest audited exchequer. The governors are also pushing to strengthen the Senate and make it the upper house and ensure it has the last say on county matters. Another item on that agenda is a push for members of county assemblies to enjoy similar privileges as members of parliament in a proportionate manner. The governors also want separate gazettement of laws between counties and the National Assembly, as well as the creation of a role for counties in security matters, a law to provide for the formation of a Loans and Grants Council to ensure equity is also on the table. The governors also want to make the Equalization Fund a county government fund. So that story forms the basis of a big question tonight on KTN Prime. We're asking you, do you think the governor's 10-point agenda is realistic? Let us know what you think. Send us a tweet at KTN Kenya, at Ben_Kitili, and of course at Linda Ogutu. We'd love to sample some of your views during this bulletin. Of course, this is just one of the many questions that Kenyans have. Let's answer some as well with Ben Kitili. Ben.
Thank you, Linda. And let's now bring in the governor of Kwale County, Salim Mvurya, to just shed some light on this and the progress so far for the Council of Governors. Karibu, Bwana Governor. Asante sana. Now, as we said, it's a beginning of a very crucial week for the Council of Governors and the referendum push ahead of that forum at Bomas over the weekend. What is this 10-point agenda based on, and what is your push all about, and what is the progress so far?
I think one of the areas I want to point out very quickly to all Kenyans is that the referendum push is not a governor's referendum. This referendum is for Kenyans. And for us to have reached a stage where now we are asking Kenyans to go into a referendum, we have had experiences in implementing devolution for the last 1 year. Last year, you also recall that we attempted to ask Kenyans to go for a referendum, but then we decided to work with the national government, within the structures of governance that have already been formed, because of the promise that and commitment that the issues would be resolved. However, 1 year down the line, we find that now devolution is under threat. The kind of legislation that is coming is not conducive, and therefore the push for this referendum is for Kenyans. First of all, the issue of having 45% revenue allocated to counties. We have looked at it, and it is very, very realistic. We are not asking for more money to be removed from education, foreign affairs. It is actually money which already exists within the national government.
Right, Governor. And I've taken a look at the 10-point agenda. It has a myriad of other issues being addressed. And
Exactly.
there's what looks like a deliberate attempt to try to reach out to more people, stakeholders in the counties, members of county assembly. There has been reports that they're not really convinced by the push.
What we've done today is that we've started, a consultative meeting with leaders of the assembly. And basically, our idea is to be as inclusive as possible. So today we brought together representatives of the members of the county assembly and also county assembly speakers, basically to take them through our 10 points and why. Definitely, we didn't expect that in today's meeting we would then go ahead to have a consensus, but then we resolved to even continue making the consultation so that if there are more issues that can be brought to the table, we can include them. If there's issues that have to be removed, they can be removed. And again, we've agreed that even as the leaders go out to make various consultations, we will at some stage also form an all-inclusive committee.
The Council of Governors has insisted this is not a political process. You're trying to get more funds devolved to the counties.
Yes.
But there has been another referendum push by the Coalition for Reforms and Democracy Code, and Kenyans think it is playing to their advantage. So what's your take on that?
I also want to make another clarification that this referendum push from the Council of Governors is not related to our colleagues in CORD. Because if you look at the composition of the Council of Governors, we have Jubilee and CORD. And all the time we have been pushing our issues in a bipartisan way. So even the referendum that we are discussing now is an issue-based referendum. It's not based on giving people any political advantage.
Yes.
It is not also based on undermining the current administration, but it is an issue and something that we want to rally Kenyans behind to continue to protect devolution and entrench some of the challenges that we have seen in the last one year in implementing devolution, so that then we begin to have a non-return valve in terms of devolution in this country. So it is not based on any kind of strategy where CORD and Council of Governors are working in some way to converge. But I think it is really based on ideals and our experiences as the first governors in this particular country.
Before I let you, Governor, albeit temporarily, the issue of health workers across the counties. There has been delays in salaries in some of the counties, and there has been a lot of blame coming towards the governors, especially from the Central Organization of Trade Unions, saying that the governors cannot handle this kind of function.
Let me also say that beginning of this financial year, it's not just health workers. Because of the issues of division of revenue and the County Allocation of Revenue Act, which has to be passed by both houses of parliament, there was a general delay in release of funds to counties. And therefore, when we are talking about salaries, it's not just health workers. Even the other cadre of staff, there were slight delays in most counties. But I want to confirm as of yesterday and also today, we have confirmed that all our county governments in Kenya have paid the health workers. And we are also aware of a scheme to incite health workers to portray county governments as unable, to portray county governments as governments that do not have capacity to handle health. And therefore, for us, we are not just looking at health workers at this stage, but we are looking at a broader scheme to return health management to the national level. Remember, we even have bills that are being contemplated to return health management to the national level. And it is something that we want to clarify to Kenyans, that it has nothing to do with delays in a segment of our workers, but it is also a broader scheme. Because the delays in salaries have been noted in all cadres of staff, and now they have been sorted. So I think
Thank you,
I want to say that this is something that we would wish that Kenyans support the county governments in resolving.
Thank you, Governor.
Thank you.
Salim Buria, Governor of Kwale County. Of course, you'll be joining him a bit later. He'll be talking to Bonnie Tunya a bit later on in the program.
Ben Kittil, they're looking at the 10-point referendum agenda by the governors. Is it realistic? Is it achievable? Are they responsible for the crisis that you're now witnessing in the health sector, really? What are their plans? Just trying to answer some of the questions that some of you may have. Let's focus our attention now on an issue that has caught the attention of Kenyans. The Cabinet Secretary for Health, James Macharia, today led his ministry's contingency plan for fighting the Ebola viral disease. While presenting the plan to Health and Transport Joint Parliamentary Committees, the Cabinet Secretary said the laid strategies will cost the country up to 670 million shillings. Part of the strategies include the establishment of an Ebola viral disease task force to oversee Kenya's prevention measures. It will also strengthen points of entries with stringent detection of potential Ebola patients and boosting the capacity of health institutions.
Why are you asking this amount of money, and whether this amount of money is guided by proper budgetary requests?
In fact, you see, for a country like Kenya, this is nothing. Let me tell you, for example, Nigeria, their plan is equivalent of 30 billion Kenya shillings. That's what they've put together. Because Ebola is a monster.
Are they going to cater for the losses, or are they going to have a budgetary provision for the losses KQ is likely to incur?
Our objective is to protect the health of Kenyans. And so when we take measures, that's our number one priority. The issue about financial implications comes second. After all, as you saw when we announced this particular measure on Saturday, we had Kenya Airways actually with us, and they did concur with the position we took.
Kenya's Anti-Terrorism Police unit carried out a series of extrajudicial killings and enforced disappearances while fighting terrorism in the country. This is according to a report just released by the Human Rights Watch. The body claims to have evidence of arbitrary arrests and mistreatment of terror suspects in detention. Through research conducted in Kenya between November 2013 and June 2014, the report documents at least 10 cases of killings, 10 cases of enforced disappearances, and 11 cases of mistreatment or harassment of terrorism suspects, mainly in Nairobi since 2011. The cases in point include the targeted killings of high-profile clerics such as Sheikh Abu Rogo in 2012, Sheikh Ibrahim Omar, who replaced Rogo at the Masjid Musa and was gunned down near the same place in 2013, and Sheikh Abubakar Sharif, aka Makaburi, was killed in April this year. Human Rights Watch now wants Kenyan authorities to urgently investigate the alleged killings, mistreatment, and abductions. They have even asked international donors to suspend support to the unit and other security forces responsible for human rights violations.
And let's stay with that report. We are speaking to Leslie Lefkoff. She is the Deputy Director, Human Rights Watch Africa Division. And we're speaking to her via Skype. She is in Amsterdam. Leslie, thank you for speaking to us tonight. Similar allegations have been made. What is different this time? What evidence are you relying on?
Well, we've done extensive interviews with witnesses of the killings, with family members, and in every case, what the police allege happened and what the witnesses say happened are two very different things. I mean, these cases of killings and disappearances are of young people who were warned by the ATPU itself in some cases that they could be killed. So they were aware that there were threats made against them before their deaths. And the circumstances of their deaths in every case are very, very alarming in terms of the abuses being committed by this unit.
Your organization has the clout to sort of reach these governments that you're talking about. Have you shared your concerns with the United States and Britain?
We have shared the concerns with the United States. We've also tried to share the concerns with the Kenyan government. I mean, obviously, this pattern of abuse by the ATPU is one piece of a broader picture of police abuses that we're very concerned about. You know, when you see these kinds of abuses against Kenyan citizens, it doesn't improve security. It's not bringing justice to the victims of terrorism. It's only, you know, making the rule of law in Kenya even more fragile.
Leslie, you say some of these atrocities are happening under the watch of the United Nations and, of course, the embassies. What do you expect from them?
Well, first and foremost, we would hope that the Kenyan government itself would take these concerns seriously and start doing the kind of investigations that are needed. We've been calling for investigations for years now, as have many Kenyan human rights organizations. Secondly, the U.S. and other donors who provide support to the ATPU should review that support. They should suspend it.
Leslie, your report is out, and of course, this is a report that could potentially see funding cut. What else can the Human Rights Watch do?
Well, we'll continue to monitor the situation and watch what the Kenyan government does. I think that if we were to see really credible investigations into these allegations, this would be the best possible outcome all around. Unfortunately, so far, we've yet to see that kind of action by the Kenyan government.
Leslie Lefko, thank you so much for speaking to KTN Prime. She is the Deputy Director, Human Rights Watch Africa. That is a story we're keeping an eye on for you now. Remember, Case Files is coming up immediately after this news bulletin. And tonight, KTN's Dennis Onsorigo speaks to two sisters accused of killing a family member. A husband was reportedly missing, only for his body to surface up in a forest tied with two huge stones. The wife says she had nothing to do with the murder and exonerates the sister from the grisly murder. Here's a preview.
Ningeingia hiyo bedroom siku hiyo, ningemkuta alikuwa amewekwa chini ya kitanda. Tayari ameuawa.
Hata kama ni sisi tulifanya kitendo, hata kama si sisi, hiyo miaka ni mingi.
Shida ilikuwa hapana, ilikuwa imening'inia. Unajua sasa imekatwa, kuna kitu imebaki, kitu kidogo sana.
Kwa asubuhi na akakuja akaniambia ya kwamba ndugu yake haonekani.
Si mimi.
Sasa hata kama ungekutana na hawa ungefikiria tu ni majani ya ng'ombe wamebeba.
Thank you for staying with KTN Prime. On our big question tonight, we're asking you, do you think the governor's 10-point referendum agenda is realistic? Thank you for staying with KTN Prime.
Bonnie, what do you have for the people of South Coast, business-wise?
Well, Ben, there's a lot to offer, especially from the dates of 25th and 26th for the people of Kwale specifically. But also what we want to look at with the governor here is, are these opportunities real or it's just in paper and sounds good? So we'll be looking at that, Ben. Right, so Bwana Governor, karibu sana once again for this opportunity to just look at what is happening. 24th, 25th and 26th of this month, there is investment and cultural forum that is happening in Kwale. I've also had talk of zero tax on investors. What's that about?
First of all, I'm here to tell all the Kenyans and you know, the international community that there's only one destination.
Right. Kwale.
And that destination is Kwale.
Right.
And therefore, from the 25th to 26th, we will have our investment forum.
Right.
And then we will have excursions on 27th and cultural festival on the 28th and 29th. And basically, the objective of all this is to begin to present the diversity in opportunities for investment in Kwale County and begin to showcase what we have as a county in terms of resources.
Right.
Because again, we want to take this opportunity to invite investors and
right.
encourage them to invest in our county so that they can add value to our resources.
Right. Bwana Governor, back to my question. Lots of governors will be watching this and they're wondering, how did you come up with that zero tax idea?
This is one of the incentives that we want to put forward to investors,
right?
So that as they invest in our county, they know that we are also going to waiver some of the levies.
What kind of investors are these?
We are looking at investors in the tourism sector.
Right.
And tourism here, we are going beyond the beach. We have now aligned new products in Kwale County. And therefore, we are looking at whoever is coming to invest, then we need to put this across. We also have opportunities in extractive industry. Of course, mining is very critical.
Right.
Not just the titanium and niobium, but we also have other opportunities like silica sand.
Right.
The Mazera stones, which you also sell here in Nairobi,
are coming from your
coming
county.
from Kwale County. So we are looking at people who will add value to our products to basically also improve the economic growth of our people.
Governor, other than just the tax incentive that you're having, you've been quoted saying that doing business is really friendly. The cost of doing business is friendly in Kwale. In terms of specifics, what makes it easier for a business person to set up shop in Kwale and not, say, Taita Taveta?
First of all, we have a very clear investment code, you know, which clarifies the procedure if you want to invest. And we also have opportunities for the government. The county government will be doing land banking, and therefore we'll be able to provide that for our investors.
Right.
And also a conducive environment where we have secured, you know, our county so that investment can be done in a peaceful environment.
Governor, a lot of noise has been made concerning the devolution of health. This past week, we've seen doctors go on strike.
Yes.
Also looking at the doctor-patient ratio in Kwale, not so good. What plans do you have, especially for these 2 dates, that you do to promote, say, investment in health?
There are opportunities to invest in health. You know, like now we are upgrading our referral hospital.
Right.
If there are investors who would like to invest in research, that's an opportunity. But also private healthcare.
Right.
You know, like now as a tourist destination, we have internationals coming, and therefore investors who would like really also to put high-class, you know, private health facilities. It's very, very opportune in our county for them to do that. And we will be exciting them, by the way, to do that, because we also feel that is a very good opportunity for investors to be able to put more facilities in health, and even specialized. You know, specialized facilities for different things, dentists and many others.
Governor, we've had a few crazy past months in regards to tourism in the country.
Yes.
You're having not just an investment, but also a cultural fair. So basically you're selling the culture of the people of Kwale.
Yes.
But in terms of specifics, what are these 2 or 3 things that you'd say we're putting in place to try and woo back investors in the tourism sector?
In the tourism sector, yes, I agree with you, it's been a very big challenge, especially this year. But what we want to put across, you know, as a county in terms of getting back tourists is basically to make sure that one of the things is that we have a secure county, because that has been the issue.
How do you do that?
Raised. And that we do by making sure that we also participate very effectively in security management in the county, and making sure that, you know, all the other issues are dealt with. But we are also opening up new products, you know, for tourism. Like, for example, we have a natural spring which generates hot water, and we've already designed that area. We also have the sable antelope, which many people don't know. So the combination of the beach and safari, you know, at one go in the county presents an exciting opportunity for investment.
Fantastic. That will be a good place to wind this, Governor. But all the best on 25th and 26th of this month as you try and sell your culture. It is the Kwale County Investment and Cultural Fair that is coming up this month. And what the Governor is saying is that come to businesses Kwale. It is friendly.
Thank you, Bonnie. And from the potential good news for the people of South Coast to happenings in the North Rift.
Indeed, let's look at other top stories of the day. And the number of those dead from the Saturday night fuel tanker explosion stands at 7.
Bereaved families in the larger Kamara area are still grappling with the difficult realities of the aftermath, while those who survived recounted the events that led to the fatal explosion.
And as KTN's Edith Kimani now reports, some of those who made it out alive have admitted to flirting with death by siphoning fuel from the tanker.
It is Sunday and Joan Korir cannot afford to go to church. Not this Sunday, she says. The first Sunday after her husband was burned to death when a fuel tanker exploded as he was siphoning fuel. Her 3 young children, guarded from the harsh reality of losing their father by their tender age, look on curiously. They do not know their family's breadwinner is gone or how he died. These difficult stories of families who have lost their loved ones are being exchanged freely here, including that of a Form 2 student who went missing on the fateful night. David Cheruyot's hopes of finding his 18-year-old son alive are thinning.
Tumetafuta mpaka sasa, hata watu iko msituni, hatujamuona. Tumeenda moshari, tumeona hiyo maiti, inaonekana pengine iko pale.
On the open field, police officers lead a church service and use it as an opportunity to preach against taking that which is not yours.
Alikuwa anasimamia wananchi.
A heavy-hitting message for the residents here. At the Eldama Ravine Hospital, 6 survivors continue to fight for their lives. 4 of them are in critical condition, but Silas Kipngetich is among the 2 who are in stable condition.
Nafikiria maisha yetu sio mbaya sana, japokuwa miguu sana ndio inatutatiza na mikono.
For Kipngetich, the story ends with a life lesson that residents here hope will deter any future siphoning incidents. But Joan Korir, together with a string of other widows, mothers and fathers, are trying to adjust to their new lives without their husbands and sons. Edith Kimani, KTN.
Good evening, this is KTN Business. My name is Boni Tunya. The national carrier Kenya Airways has come under fresh scrutiny, with the civil society group moving to court seeking to have the airline suspend all its West African flights. The Consumer Federation of Kenya has written to the High Court accusing the airline of putting the country at risk by continuing to fly into the region troubled with the Ebola epidemic. Now, the move has come a day after KQ suspended flights into Sierra Leone and Liberia and now puts the airline in a precarious position of operation in one of its more lucrative routes. Take a look.
Despite growing demand from the public for Kenya Airways to suspend all flights to West African destinations, the airline finds itself in a catch-22 situation as it tries to balance 3 core goals of service to its customers, creating wealth for the shareholders, and playing the role of Kenya's strategic resource. With 44 weekly flights into West Africa, the route is significant to the airline's operation. It's no wonder the airline has a hard time even thinking of suspending flights.
They will be under stress to meet some of their obligations, especially the short-term obligations, especially the short-term credit.
The 3 Ebola-hit countries account for about 20 weekly flights. Nigeria alone has 11 weekly frequencies, 7 and 4 weekly flights to Lagos and Abuja respectively.
It really depends on how long this thing drags on and how long they ground the plane. I would imagine if they do for 1 week, they would have to find a way of plugging in that deficit.
The national carrier is struggling to deal with 3 variables that are beyond the management control, which include political unrest, rising global interest rates and global exchange rates, which negatively impact financial health of the global airline industry.
In the end, the shareholder will not be happy at the end of it, because then there will be no dividend and the share price will be depressed.
Kenya Airways is not only state-owned and does not enjoy any state subsidies, and neither does it enjoy any form of tax waivers or fuel cost subsidies. Hence, it has to battle the global market competitive forces, just like any other business, out to make profits. It is, however, not clear and when Ebola outbreak in West Africa will be fully contained. Hence, flights could be grounded for days, weeks, or even months, adding more pressure on an already struggling national carrier. Philip Keitan, KTN Business.
Close to 70,000 tons of fertilizer is on its way to tea farmers across the country ahead of the next planting season. Now, this comes as a welcome relief for smallholder farmers across the country that have had little to write home about recently. Last month, several tea farmers complained of receiving underweight fertilizer from the Kenya Tea Development Agency, prompting an audit into the distribution chain. The tea agency says it has identified some companies contracted to package the commodity over the anomaly, noting that KTDA has contracted another company to bag the fertilizer. Tea farmers in Kwale County have raised concerns over the underweight consignment. This is the latest in a series of misfortunes for KTDA, which has been accused of undercutting smallholder farmers.
In fact, the world tea trade want to copy the KTDA model. There's a big conference in Indonesia in November this year, and if you see the contents of it, they are saying they want to copy the small-scale farmers in other countries like Indonesia, to copy the KTDA model, because it has been a big success.
Corruption is a word that has over the years become synonymous with the government activities. So rife has the practice been that little or no attention has been given to how affairs are run in the private sector. However, according to the Institute of Directors of Kenya, many of the private sector companies have failed transparency and accountability tests, casting a spotlight on just how murky business is in the country. Here's KTN's Charles Gitonga.
Corruption is an ill that has for years held the country back from accelerated economic growth. It is no wonder then that the phrase "toa kitu kidogo" has become part of the social fabric. The same practice appears to have slipped into the private sector, which is now taking advantage of the lack of proper oversight to abuse responsibility. This evidence has clearly presented itself through the numerous illegal deals called under the tables in the corporate world. It is for this reason that various stakeholders drawn from the business community and Ministry of Foreign Affairs are engaging in Africa's first cool roundtable in Nairobi.
It is critical that we also critically assess our values as a continent and reflect on how these values will impact on future generations.
Unless we actually tackle the issues that you're going to be addressing, the issues of ethics, integrity, it doesn't matter how much you throw at it.
The stakeholders noted that corruption is a monster that the government has been fighting to contain. As such, if Kenya is to achieve its set goals, ethical practices must be upheld in government and private sector engagements.
The efforts of governments require to be complemented by positive synergies from all stakeholders.
So far, the government, in its effort to promote transparency in both public and private service, has developed policy measures to support good governance. This includes vetting of all public office holders, involving the minority groups in development, and bringing into place a new constitution that supports good corporate and public governance. Charles Gitonga, KTN Business.
It's been an honor me doing that and working with an amazing team here.
Ben, it's been an honor working with you as well. We wish you well as you head to greener pastures.
Yes, all the best, Bonnie. It's been awesome working with you. All the best.
Thank you. I guess it's good night and goodbye.
It's been great.
Bye, Bonnie. Well, we're taking a short break. Thank you for staying with us. When we come back, Ben Kitele will have the day's sports news.
The edition of the Mwea Classic Marathon has been officially launched. Participants will either take part in the 21-kilometer or 10-kilometer race. There is a special race for the locals. Registration for this year's edition started 2 months ago. Adults' ticket costs 1,000 shillings, while children will be charged 200 Kenya shillings to register. Proceeds from the event will be used for community projects in the area.
Compete for the passion that you have. Compete while exhibiting the values that they are in sports, and compete while understanding as a human being also you need to sustain yourself.
We have prizes for them for the local category to compete against the athletes who will come from other parts of the country. So we have a 21-kilometer route and a 10-kilometer route, and the route has been certified by the AK.
We really appreciate what you are doing as a committee and the steering team ya kuweza kuhakikisha Mwea Marathon imefanyika every other year na ambaye ni jambo la muhimu sana kuweza kuhimiza vijana kuepukana na yale mambo ambao yanapotosha.
So, on the big question tonight, we're asking you, do you think the governor's 10-point referendum agenda is realistic?
At Arab_Saitoti says, it's unethical to use referendum to demystify the truth. Let them account for money disbursed to them.
Collins on Twitter says, yes, they are realistic. Kenyans, let's not be myopic. We need the money at the grassroots for service delivery.
Peter Kamau Kimani says, yes, but also let's add one more agenda. Reduce 47 governors to 10. They're too many and a burden to Kenya.
Naomi Joseph says, no, they just want money and more money. Why do we need a referendum? We have work to do.
Migdad Ferozi says, the governors know the plight of Kenyans more than the central government. We voted for devolution and we will vote for it again.
And Abel Mumanyi finally says, if they cannot manage 15% and account for it, 45% they will not. Let them account for what they have first.
Well, those are your opinions. And we thank you for tweeting us, for being part of our bulletin. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you tomorrow. I'm Linda Ogutu.
Remember to stay with KTN. Dennis Onsarigo is coming up shortly with this week's edition of Case Files. I'm Ben Kitili. Good night from the KTN News Center.